putting someone on stage in a bikini. It was a big taboo. So we're now breaking out of that. What a bikini athlete, which is the category I compete in, looked like when I started in 2014 to what they look like now is completely different. I'm busy with my business consulting, my legal work. I work in corporate governance. I work in talent. I have many hustles. Part of your question was, aren't you too old? And I'm like, no, I'm not too old, because I don't believe you're too old to do anything. Is your goal, I want to look like this, I want arms like Michelle Obama, whatever it is. Time when you're like, oh my God, I don't want to go. It's like, oh no, I need arms like Michelle Obama. I have to go to the gym.
When you meet her on the busy streets of Nairobi, London, Dubai, or Ontario, Canada, she may not strike you as anything more than just a gorgeous beauty queen. The truth is, 49-year-old Farah Esmail is not your ordinary girl. Besides being a legal professional specializing in corporate governance and business consultancy, Pera is a global sensation when it comes to bikini athletics. She holds dozens of trophies and medals from local and global bodybuilding competitions. Hello and welcome to Traktion. My name is Pasil Telewa. From being a three-time Miss Kenya record holder to participating in various bikini events in London, Portugal, Dubai, and South Africa, today we spend some time with Farah, who shares her expensive passion for fitness and a little sneak peek into her personal life. Enjoy. Which was out of all, the sports, you wanted to do bodybuilding?
I like different sports. I like challenges. And if you look, I have all kinds of sporting equipment because I like trying new sports. I've got rollerblades, I've got hockey sticks, I've got squash rackets, I play golf, I do a lot of different things. So I like to challenge myself. So bodybuilding was interesting because I went to a show in the US and I went to see, it was actually a friend of mine. We used to go when I lived in the States.
Yeah.
We went to Florida and her brother was dating a woman who was a bodybuilder. And I'd never seen women on stage. I mean, I'd not been exposed to it. So I went to see the show and I was just like, oh my God, I would love to do that. Just because I think those women exhibited confidence, strength, there was good muscularity, they were beautiful on stage. Like, it was just the package. It wasn't just this, it was a strong woman.
It was a whole lot.
Yeah, and so I was like, one day I'd like to do it. And I actually didn't start bodybuilding till I moved back to Kenya. I moved back in 2012, but I had a very, very stressful, busy job. And and that was a job that brought me back. I mean, it was a role working as head of legal and VP for a company in the education space. We're basically Bridge Internationals. The company was running schools in the slums, and for me, I wanted to come back. I'd worked in education in the US and in a similar tech-enabled organization.
When you talk about you wanting to come back, what do you mean?
So I actually moved away to go live in Canada and the US. So I went to school there. So I'm born in Kenya, and then I moved and did my law degree, MBA, my undergrad, all my educations in Canada, and then I moved to the US and I lived there for 7 years, working as head of legal for an e-learning company. Life changes. I was married there, got separated, and I'd come to climb Kilimanjaro in 2010. When I came to climb Kili, on the way back, I met somebody who was part of Vision 2030, and for 8 hours, all the way, I think it was all the way,
During a flight?
During my flight, I think I was flying to Amsterdam on KLM, so 8 hours to Amsterdam, and all they kept saying is, we need Kenyans like you to come back. Education's one of our pillars, and it kind of stuck in my mind. And actually, it's probably that conversation that later on, the company I was working for in the States, basically it sold to another company, so I saw it to exit. So basically I was there for 7 years, built out the structures and systems on the legal side, and also the IP, because we were developing curriculum. So it was a very successful thing, but when that ended, my relationship also ended. I think the universe was saying, it's
now time.
It's time for a new beginning.
Yeah.
I went back to Toronto for 3 months. I worked in corporate governance. And then I saw this posting to come to Kenya, and I interviewed in New York with the founders who were there fundraising. And in July, it was end of June 2012, I moved back to Kenya. And so I was working in this job. And then in 2014, after I'd had this crazy come back to Africa, work in Kenya, it's very different from being in North America.
Absolutely.
As you know. And I kind of was like, what are the things I need to do with my life? I almost had this like, make a list of things I want to do. One was to climb Mount Kenya. One was to, go to India, see the Taj Mahal. One was to go to Hong Kong. And then one of them was, I want to do a bodybuilding show. So that was in 2014. And, I'm in Nairobi, and at the time there were no women bodybuilders here. I mean, it was nobody was doing it, right? We are a very conservative culture here, and even with the men's bodybuilding, in the 2000s, bodybuilding was very active in Kenya, and then there was a lot of corruption in the sport as we know it, and the whole thing died. So anyway, I then headed back to the US to get a coach, because there are no coaches here. And then I got a coach, and it just so happened,
Pera.
timing-wise.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You had to go back to the US.
I had to go back to get
find
a coach. Yeah, basically there was a gentleman and his wife in Columbus, Ohio, which is like the mecca of bodybuilding. And somewhere along, I'd met a woman who said she had a coach there, and you go stay with him for like 4 days, him and his wife, and they own a gym, and they show you how to work out and what to eat. And working out and eating are the two main parts.
Yes.
I mean, of course, it's a whole equation of eating, sleeping, working out, supplements.
Exactly, the
whole thing.
Yeah.
But the two main things are learning how to work out, to sculpt as a bodybuilder, and then also how to eat as a bodybuilder. I mean,
I'm here. How are you? Oh, please do.
hey,
Look at you.
so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. How many times do you like it? Is it like 1, 2, or
Oh,
just
can
one?
do-
You know, like a hug?
Can do, how well do I know you?
So now,
You go,
mwah, mwah, mwah.
They're too
Three.
pretentious,
Oh,
but
I
that's
see.
fine. That's
It's
fine.
okay. So how have you been? Nice to see you. Look at you.
You look hot, girl.
Farah, you're not 50. Tell me you're
Soon,
lying.
soon. I'm in my late 40s. Soon 50.
Like that. You have maintained such a nice body.
It's a lot of work. Honestly,
I know it's a lot of work. And
it's-
that's why I'm here today, so that you tell me what it is that you do.
Okay.
Differently from some of us, of course.
So, it's a lifestyle. So, first of all, it's about committing to this lifestyle. So, let's get on this. Do you know how to
great.
use these? It's
I-
self-propelled. So,
Yeah.
jump on.
So once I step on,
Step on. It's
Yeah.
going to propel with your own energy.
oh, great. So I can
walk
go
on it.
as,
Yeah.
just don't make it so
No,
fast.
no. You controlling it. So,
Yeah.
step on it and
Good.
walk at your own speed. And you control it. So,
Great.
you can run.
So for it to
You
go
can run.
faster, yes.
It's on your own energy. So, we can walk.
For it to go faster,
Yeah, the good thing about this
Mhm.
is, it's not connected to
to
electricity.
electricity. That's
This
what
is
I
your own.
noticed.
This burns more calories because it's your own body moving it.
So
You're
you,
not cheating.
you understand why I'm here with you.
Yeah,
How has it been going?
it's great. You know what? I'm competing in May in a show, so I'm getting ready for my show. I'm trying to make the money so I can go to my show. It's in Portugal, so but this is kind of my gym. I'm so glad you joined me here.
Thank you, and thank you for making time. How is your day usually like? I'm aware you work out 6 days a week.
6 days, 1 day of break. So, for me, working out, I schedule it into my day. As you know, I'm busy with my business consulting, my legal work. I work in corporate governance. I work in talent. I have many hustles, So around that, I build in my framework. I think one time we spoke and I was telling you, in the same way as in businesses, you build a framework and governance. For me, I build that around my wellness as well. So I have to build the framework, I have to set my appointment. I meet my trainer at 4 o'clock every day.
4 o'clock every day,
every
Monday
day,
to
Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday,
Yeah.
5 days a week.
5 days a week is my weights, and I do cardio 6 days a week. And then I prep all of my meals. So I eat 6 meals a day, and I'm right now on kind of a low carb, not keto, but I eat less carbs because I'm trying to drop some weight. And I have a coach who's in Portugal, so he sets my program.
Just stop
And I follow
right
it.
there. You're trying to do what?
I'm trying to drop weight to get onto the stage. So, I mean, I compete with women half my age. Bikini fitness is all about a certain structure on stage. It's how you look. And
So tell me about your diet,
my
because I
diet.
think it's quite fascinating that you have somebody who watches what you eat, who tells you what to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, how is
I mean,
it?
I set diets as well. So, like every coach needs a coach. So, in business, people have coaches now. No matter how successful you are, it's always good to learn from other people. And I've had many coaches in my life.
Yeah.
So I do change coaches. You get a coach who works with your chemistry, who works with your show. So currently my coach is in Portugal because I'm competing in Portugal, and he's going to be there on the day of my show to see how I look.
Yeah.
How am I looking when I get off the plane? I mean, what's my body looking
How
like?
do you get to identify a coach?
Yes, that's a really hard question. Now, there's nobody here in Kenya that I can use as a coach. So for the level I'm competing at, I'm looking at, the coaches who are, if you want to get better, you got to get the coach who's working with the world's number one, the world's
A
number
global
two.
coach.
So I have a global coach. So part of the difficulty of being here is I don't have a coach present to see what my body is looking like, see me change over the weeks. Like competing is really something, if you're going to do a show, you're going to be preparing anywhere from like 3 to 5 months for a show.
Yeah.
And so your body changes. It's incredible. It's like an art. Like the days I eat carbohydrates, you can see my muscles blow up, right? So it is a science. And so in picking a coach now, I've learned you got to be able to pick a coach who can work with an online model. Some coaches are very good if you see them every day and they're in your face.
Yeah.
Some don't know how to do online coaching. Um, some will be very good with their elite athletes. So what happens is when you're working with a coach who works with the number one in the world,
Yeah.
he's going to be focused, or she's going to be focused on their elite athletes. And then the girl in Africa, I don't know, right? So part of it is finding that person who's going to give you your attention. And everybody really, I would say, works differently. What my work for me as in someone who's being coached is different from you. Just like our bodies are different, our preferences are different.
Yeah.
So there's some coaches who work better with women, some work better with men. So it's a tricky question. I mean, it's a great question.
But now when you're talking of a coach who is abroad,
in Portugal.
yeah, how do you get in contact, communicate?
So we,
how do you,
thankfully there's WhatsApp.
Sure? Yeah.
We're on WhatsApp a lot. I send in my pictures of what I'm looking like.
But pictures are not everything.
They're not.
Yeah.
And this is why the one thing I still seek is a coach in person every day of my life, but I don't have that. So you do the best you can, given that we are here.
Yeah.
Most of the shows are in Europe and in North America that I'm competing. But this is the best it's been, and I go with that.
Let's talk about what got you to begin this whole sports thing. I noticed that no, you once told me that you were playing hockey and other sports. So tell me about it.
I've always played sports. I think for me, it's always been part of my life. My dad was a great squash player. I ran Green Acres when I was going to school here. I was pretty good actually at running. I played hockey. I played netball.
Yeah.
Played soccer. I actually try a lot of different sports, and I think that's where bodybuilding came.
You weren't scared about your age, Pera, because somebody will be like, I think you should have started that when you're, like in your teens.
Yes.
And that kind of a thing.
You know what? I don't think about it. For me, age is a number. I mean, I know that's so cliche, but it's about energy. It's about, I compete with women half my age. I don't actually worry about my age. And I think you got to have this attitude of try it. The only thing that can happen is you'll fail, right? So I didn't actually think about my age. I'm just like, I want to do this. I'm going to do it.
So where did you study? Where did you go to school to?
So I was in Kenya up to my high school, and then I went to Canada for my law degree. I have an undergraduate degree in environmental science. I was very much about impact and working in the environment, so environmental science. And then I realized you need law to make impact in environment. So I
you
got a
went
law
to study
degree.
law?
And then I was actually looking to move to the US at the time because the person that I wanted to move with in the US, I knew they weren't going to come back. So I was like, okay, I need to be more transportable. So I went back for an MBA. And in my MBA, I was still looking at impact. So I did
Where did you do
sustainable
your
strategy.
MBA?
It was also in Canada.
Okay, great.
So I would then move to the States, and I had an amazing job at an e-learning company. And so that's where I was head of legal for 7 years, and got married, got divorced in the 7 years. And then,
Babies?
sorry, no babies.
Yeah. Was it intentional? Didn't want?
No, we were trying actually.
Yeah.
And then, the marriage ended. And
Yeah. Sorry.
and my company sold. And so really, I think the universe was like, okay, your time here is done. You need a new chapter. And then I think, as you know, I went back to Toronto for a little bit, and then I moved to Kenya in 2012.
Yeah. Well, it must be such a moment for you, a difficult, a difficult decision to make, to come back to Kenya.
I guess my parents had moved to Toronto, and it was all for better education. But I always actually knew I wanted to make impact. I think I told you I had this thing where, and not in a paternalistic kind of, oh my God, I studied in North America, but I think I told you I'd come to climb Kilimanjaro, and on the way back on the plane, I sat next to someone who was part of Vision 2030,
And you are
and they were
talking
just
for
like,
hours.
yeah, we talked for 8 hours, and it was just like, Kenya has a pillar for education. We need people to come back that are educated. And I remember growing up hearing about brain drain, right? Like, we have all this great talent and it all leaves and doesn't come back. So something was like, I wanted to come back and with what I had learned, be able to make change. And that's one of the reasons, I came back. And it was difficult, but it was refreshing. And there's something about when I landed here, the smell. You know how the smell was, I'm home.
Yes.
There's a smell
When
about
you get out of the
Nairobi.
plane,
When you get out of the plane, and my body just felt, I'm home.
you know the first thing I do once I step out of the plane is scream Nairobi. Nairobi! I'm here!
I mean, you can travel everywhere, but it's
Yeah.
not when you
feel so much at home.
So yeah, so I mean, I moved back, and there's always this thing of there's lots of opportunities, but I think we are at the center of where opportunity is of transformation in the world, right? This is the center of it. I mean, Uber does a lot of research here and then takes it overseas. So this is really, I think, for me, there's been amazing opportunities being here. And I started my bodybuilding career here, I mean, at the time when I started, I was just lucky that there was a platform here and there was a new federation and they had a stage for women. And so I won Miss Kenya 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
in
you
Kenya.
were telling me that.
And then I also started competing internationally and actually representing Kenya. So
Haven't you had times or moments when you're like, do I really have to do this?
for me, it's a passion. And part of your question was, aren't you too old? And I'm like, no, I'm not too old because I don't believe you're too old to do anything. And for me, it's about staying in the sport, improving the sport, but the sport is changing as well. It's very interesting. So what a bikini athlete, which is the category I compete in, looked like when I started in 2014 to what they look like now is completely different. So every year there is the Olympia, and the Olympia is where you see what the body is going to look like for the next year for people to win. And that is changing every year.
Yeah.
So not only do I have to keep trying to make the body, but I have to keep changing to what the international standard is. So it's interesting, and that's why you also have to pick a coach that understands
the
global perspective, but what is needed that year. It was different from what it was in 2014.
Really?
Yeah.
So in this year, May, for instance, what is needed?
So this is the thing. Also, what's interesting is if I compete in Portugal versus Brazil versus US versus South Africa,
Yes.
the body types are different. The women, we know beauty is different everywhere you go.
True.
Same with bodybuilding. Like
But
Brazil is bigger.
You're an African woman.
Right, but the thing is, I'm competing
to that stage and to whoever's next to me on stage. So depending on who comes that day is going to depend on if I win or not win or how I do. So it's a very subjective sport. And so, for instance, in Europe, the women are really, really lean. So I'm really big there. If I went to Brazil, I'd probably be small because the women are much bigger. Okay. So it depends on where you compete. And so where you compete is a very strategic decision sometimes, but sometimes it's just logistic, like Portugal's closer. When I competed in Vegas, it was like a 20-hour flight. You collect a lot of water. It's harder to fly to the US.
Farah, you're 50.
Yeah.
When is your birthday?
In May. So I'm not 50 yet.
You're yet to be 50.
Yet to be
Look
50.
at me. I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
so
okay.
sorry, but you'll be turning 50 soon. Any works done?
Any works done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Botox and some filler.
And are those, supposed to give you some worry when you're doing this?
Well, what happens is, no, actually, so I can compete. So I actually had never thought of doing any work, to be honest. But what happens is when you work out a lot, you get very, you basically lose your fat muscle.
Oh, I see.
And your fat cells in your skin just kind of go. So what happens is you just don't look good. So because I'm competing, I told you I compete with women half my age.
Yeah.
It was something that I kind of thought I needed to do. But look, I think I don't see any issue with that.
No,
For me, it's like anti-aging is available as long as it's safe. I would not go under the knife. I've not done anything under the knife because, again, there's a risk. I mean, there's a risk to Botox as well. There's a risk to everything. There's a risk to us walking here. This thing is we might fall off of it, right?
Yeah, true.
So I think part of it is, what do you do? I mean, I actually went to, this is probably off topic completely, but for instance, I went to an event where they were talking about menopause, right? And it's not talked about. It's a taboo. The same way like women on stage is a taboo. And
the same way it used to be talking about, wax done is a taboo. Right now people talk about it.
So, there was a whole discussion about hormone therapy and whether women should take it and, is it safe? But I mean, my attitude is you've got to weigh the risks of everything. There's a risk-reward line. So you've got to figure out whether the reward is worth the risk and how much risk. And that's an assessment and it's different for everyone. All right, so I'm going to show you how to pose. Walk to the middle. Okay, so walk. Your bum always has to be up. Walk. So remember, it's all about the X shape. It's about the S curve.
Yeah.
Okay. And so facing the judge, right? Smile. Okay, tell them how wonderful you are. And now you need to transition. So this foot, are you ready?
Tell them how wonderful you are.
Tell them how wonderful and amazing, how much work you've spent doing on your body. Mm-hmm. This foot is going to go back. And now it's just a shift of weight.
The right or the left?
The right foot is going to go back. Shift of weight, and you come forward. Again, it's about making the waist look really small. So again, we were here. Remember we were here? And now we're going to shift weight and make the waist look small here. Point the foot forward. Okay, and now we're ready to walk to them. Okay, so we're going to walk. We're going to do the same pose.
Oh, I missed that.
So this one there. Okay, this one. So basically, this leg is back. Yep. Face, smile, shoulders, point the judges.
Like this?
Yeah.
Ooh.
There you go.
This is a lot more wow.
Okay, so we're here. Okay, now we got to turn because you're going to show them the back. So to turn, you step forward with this foot. Yep. Turn. Keep your bum up because if you bring your bum down, it's going to sag. Bum up. Show them. And then this leg comes to this side. There you go. And now they're going to see your back pose, which they're looking at your glutes.
See.
Okay, and now it's basically the back pose. And now you're going to come back to the front. So to do that,
so you have to rotate.
To do that,
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Many thanks for keeping me company. Remember, we air every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Kenyan time only on KTN News. And if you have a story you'd like to share with the world, please don't hesitate. Write to us through Traktion@standardmedia.co.ke or DM us on our social media platforms. at Traktion or at KTN News KE. You can also tap that follow button to me on my social media platforms at Pasil Telewa on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok for more of behind the scenes. But until then, I hope to catch up with you soon. Bye-bye for now.